Oh, big one. This is a real big one. Hey gang, today I am back in beautiful Citrus County, Florida. I am with Bass Pro Robbie Crosnoe. Robbie, we got a little wind, got a little cloud cover. What do you think? I mean, it's the right time of year to be here.
That's for sure. The big females are up on the hill. What we're going to try to do today is punch some mats, some gator vine, maybe some hydrilla, and try to catch some of these Florida big girls.
Just like a Bass Pro, it's just real simple. We're just gonna try to catch big girls. You gotta love it. We'll see what the good Lord gives us. I can't wait to get fishing. This week's Real Animals Adventure, we're actually fishing the Withlacoochee River, which kind of borders the eastern side of Citrus County. I'm with Bass Pro Robbie Crosnoe, and he's very, very accomplished, great guy, great angler. He's won a ton of money on tour, fishes the Toyota Tour, amongst some other tours. And we're gonna be punching some pads, according to Robbie, and I've never done a lot of that, so I'm really excited to kind of see what today brings. You know, anytime you can learn something new, I've been doing this a long time, and the opportunity to catch fish in a different way, in a different style, always excites me. So walk me through, for a guy who doesn't use his bait caster much, like when I take it down, usually this time of year, I got to clean the dust off of it a little bit. What's the proper way to set that up for something like this? Punching, you know, getting the brakes and getting getting bait casters tuned in correctly is not something everybody knows about.
So basically this style of fishing, you don't use no drag.
Okay.
You don't want no drag. You don't want the fish to take you up under the mat, get you in the vines, wrap you up. So basically when you set your rod up for heavy cover flipping, your hook's plenty heavy enough, it's not going to spring, so you don't need a drag. Basically what you want to do when you get the bite, you want to try to pull the fish to the very tip top of the mat instantly, and you don't want him taking you back down. Therefore you don't need any drag.
Okay.
And that's why we use heavy braid, heavy hooks, heavy weights, and a heavy rod.
When you're talking heavy braid, you're talking like 50, 60, 70 pound braid.
Yeah, I prefer like 65 pound braid.
Okay.
And it's just simple fact, because you could break it on a hook set, because you got a short line out and no stretch on your line because it's braid, and you're a big fish, you're basically setting into a cinder block.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Now, how do you set that up on a normal bait caster? Is there a way to set that up? I mean, just playing with your drag and that's it?
No,
locking it down?
I'd say lock it down just like you were fishing for grouper.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. That's what we needed to know. You the man. It was really kind of interesting because I didn't even know from, you know, the right rods to bring, the right line to have on my bait casters. You know, this is something I haven't done. I've caught a lot of bass, I've done some bass fishing, but I've never done it in heavy cover like this. And, you know, all Robbie's pre-fishing led him to, you know, this was the way for us to catch some big fish today, which I was good with. So I was really looking forward to seeing the exact tackle and how we were gonna go about trying to get this done. So what's the plan of attack here? This whole punch and pads thing is going to be a little out there for the saltwater guy. So show me how we're going to battle here.
So we've got basically a heavy rod, 7/6 heavy fast action rod, 1.5 ounce tungsten weight, Greg Hackney heavy cover flipping hook, and basically we're going to be using Strike King rodent creature style baits.
I like the name of them.
So this one's called Bama Bug. It's got green pumpkin on one side, June bug on the other. So very simple. Come in. These hooks have a really good keeper. Keep it simple. And that's what we're going to be flipping today in this heavy cover.
And because that's 1.5 ounces, then that's what helps you get through that heavy mat, huh?
Oh yeah, you need 1.5 ounces because as you can look at this stuff, it's pretty thick.
And how do they, I mean, I guess my question is, how do you, do they thump it?
So it could be one of two ways. It can be, if they're eating in this cloud cover and stuff, as soon as you go through the mat, believe it or not, this 1.5 ounces, bam, it'll go a foot down they're gonna hit it. You're
Really?
gonna feel it,
Okay.
slackline you. If they're not eating so good, because of the cloud cover, we'll find out here shortly, it might be like a 3 or 4 or 5 yo-yos. Just hop it off the bottom, let it go back down. Hop it off the bottom with a free line, let it go back down. And maybe the 3rd, 4th time, you'll hop it off the bottom as it's going back down. Even though it's a slack line, these things are hitting it so hard, you're gonna feel it.
Okay.
And reel down, get tight.
Perfect. Me and a bait caster, this should be amusing.
Oh yeah.
It's all good, buddy.
Basically, it's very, very thick on the top. But underneath it, once you bust through the top, the initial top thing, underneath it is a big giant cavern. It's all hollow. Like hydrilla will basically grow so thick like that it kills itself underneath it. So the majority of that is just floating, but there's about 6 or 8 inches of it solid, really thick viney hydrilla, but once you get underneath it, it's hollow as it can be. So the fish can live under there. They're not living in the grass, they're actually underneath it.
There he is. Let me tell you what, buddy. God, nice fish too.
That's what it's all
Bro.
about right there, buddy.
Let me tell you what, bro. When you go to set the wood, bro, that is awesome. I could tell, I could see it coming. I was able to flinch, get out of the way, the whole 9 yards, dude. That is tremendous.
It's a solid
Yeah, it's a nice
3,
fish.
3.5
Yeah,
pounder.
attaboy. The only thing that I can kind of compare it to on the saltwater side is maybe some of that combat fishing that you do down in the heavy cover, like in the glades, where you're, skipping baits up underneath the trees on a high tide, and you get that whack of that big snook or big redfish up underneath the trees, and you're kind of, pulling and hoisting and just trying to get that fish's head turned out of that cover. And even that comparison, I don't know it does it justice, because there's so much cover here and it's so thick and so hard to get these fish coming the right way. But that's the closest comparison that I could give you.
Yeah, that's a nice fish.
Yep, that's a
Hopefully we
nice
catch a bunch of these today. Let him go back and do her thing.
Oh boy, kid.
Beautiful.
Hey, nice. Nice. I was trying to wrap my brain around this flipping thing, and it took me a while, which, I don't do it. I bass fish once, twice, 3 times a year, do a little bit of flipping here and there, but not, like the holes and having to punch the mat the way we were with the heavy tungsten weights. It's something I've never done before, and you could see, the accuracy. And when I was talking to Robbie said, when he first started this fishing heavy cover thing, he literally stood in his driveway at night and flipped into a cup over and over and over and over again. I tell people all the time on the saltwater side with a spinning rod, put a 5-gallon bucket in the backyard and try to hit that 5-gallon bucket. The Bass Pro's 5-gallon bucket, I mean, that's too big. He was flipping into a cup. And again, that's the difference between the pros and the rest of us who, just go fishing for fun. Some people that just don't have the patience to really learn it, Talk to a lot of people, I never catch any fish, I never catch any fish. Well, how much time do you put into it?
This, when I was learning, I sat on my truck in my driveway, I stood on the tailgate, and I practiced flipping into a cup for hours.
Into a cup?
Hours, trying to flip into a cup in my yard to learn this technique. This one might be good bass too.
Here you go. I'm not doing much else to help you. Stuck.
Oh yeah, right in the
You
top of the mouth.
stuck him. Nice fish though. Dark color on them. They stay kind of dark being in that,
Oh, this
in the river and the mat.
dark tannic water, and under these mats, they don't get no sun, so they're They're dark.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous fish, big old yap on them. I thought it was really interesting because, you know, Robbie was born and raised here in Citrus County, and knowing exactly, you know, which vegetation should be holding the fish, which it was easier to get out of, which it was, you know, what were the vegetation you were looking at that you wanted to stay away from, that you could end up snagged in, that we wouldn't be able to get it out. There was just so much information, and again, it's all about time on the water. It doesn't matter what you're fishing for, whether it's, you know, offshore tuna fishing or, you know, big billfish or snook fishing, red fishing, speckled trout fishing. It's about time on the water. And you could kind of see how much time and effort and energy Robbie has put in to bass fishing here in Citrus County. So what is it that moves bass around the most? You know what I mean? Is it wind direction? Is it water temperature? Is it just time of the year? I mean, what do you think is it that moves them around the most?
I would
everything?
say it's 100% bait.
Oh, okay. Food source.
You know, this time of year they're moved up shallow to spawn.
Right.
Because we're in Florida, it's been warm for such a long time. You got fish in all stages. You got fish that's already spawned. We still have fish that's gonna spawn. So you have pre-spawn, post-spawn, and spawn going on all at the same time until probably, I would say, mid to late March.
Okay.
In this neck of the woods, you know, it varies by, you know, temperature, of course. Like northern fish, Lake Seminole, to say where the elites just were, they're spawning right now.
If I was to ask you your favorite month to fish Florida, what month is it?
Honestly, probably April.
Really?
Most of the fish are post-spawn, so they're eating. Yeah, the shad.
Come off the beds hungry.
The shad start spawning and the bluegill start spawning. So you find the bait, you find giant schools of bass. So you can catch numbers quite a bit.
Oh, attaboy.
Big one.
That's a good fish. Yeah, it is. That's a good fish. Wow. Look at the yap on that thing. Attaboy. Lots of big, beautiful fish in this river here, buddy.
It's beautiful. The amount of pressure.
You're a stud, dude. Attaboy. Look at
These
that.
fish don't see. She looks like she's post-spawn.
It does, doesn't it?
So she's probably up under here waiting for the bluegill to come.
4 pounds, 4.5?
I'd say she's 4.5.
Unbelievable. The difference between Joe Angler and the pros is absolutely incredible. Citrus County is a special place. Just, you know, obviously I'm here a lot. The plantation on Crystal River is just one of my favorite places. But there's just so much to offer here, and it's not just salt water. For years I thought it was just, you know, salt water, but you know, Lake Russo and Lake Henderson, and I mean, you know, the Withlacoochee River here today is, I said it several times on the water today, I fished in some really beautiful places, Costa Rica and Charleston, South Carolina, and the Keys, and I've been to some really gorgeous places, and I don't know that I've ever fished anywhere more beautiful or more peaceful than right here on the Withlacoochee River today. It was absolutely a beautiful, beautiful day.
Uh-oh, big one. This is a real big one.
Look at the size of this thing, bro.
Here, let's land him on this side.
Yeah, if you can. Oh man, is that a stud. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
That is awesome. There's nothing better to me, nothing better than catching them things out of the thickest cover possible.
That was pretty thick. The minute you set the hook and that big wave of pad, I'm like, uh-oh, that one's a dandy. I'm gonna go on tour with Robbie, and I'm just gonna be his official hook or fish grabber. He needs a fish grabber, apparently. Nice work.
That was really close to 5.
Yeah, good
high
fish.
4s.
Good fish. Beautiful. They're so dark being in this with the Coochie River water and then under those.
Honestly, that fish could have just came. There's a lake down here where the water gets really clear. Just looking at how white her belly is, I think she's just now moving in from the lake.
Okay.
Probably to spawn the back
Maybe
wall.
getting ready to go to spawn?
Yeah.
All right.
Beautiful.
Unreal. Today was kind of special because I learned so much from just watching Robbie. You know, you would think this is kind of a power fishing deal, which I love to power fish, but it's got some finesse to it. You know, getting the feel down of that fish when he eats it and being able to set that hook and get that fish coming right away. You don't have a whole lot of time. You know, sometimes the water underneath those pads is only 1.5 to 2 foot deep. So when that fish eats it, you know, you've got to really, really get on them. It was really interesting, and it took me the whole day, and I never really grasped it really well, I don't think. But as we were getting closer to the end of the day, I lost a really big fish. I was starting to get a feel for exactly the fall, the presentation that you needed to make, and I'm excited for the next time I get to come and do this. Hey gang, this week's Real Animals tip of the week, I want to talk to you about my good friends at Power Pole. You know, this whole thing started with swift, silent, secure, shallow water anchors. Now they're on the back of everyone's boat. Everybody knows what a Power Pole is. Then we went to the Power Pole Charge, an actual charge on the run smart charger that puts power where you need it, when you need it. If you need an emergency start, the Power Pole Charge has it. Absolutely as advanced and high quality charger as there is on the market. Well, now Power Pole's done it again. Now they've come out with the new Power Pole Move trolling motor. Total boat control. It's absolutely like no trolling motor on the market. Does things none of the rest of them can do. If you're looking to make your boat front to back, total boat control, go to power-pole.com and find out for yourself why Power Pole is the leader in marine everything. You know, one of the great things about being partnered with Strike King Lures is, you know, they've got really great saltwater baits, and I've caught a ton of different fish in a ton of different places on their saltwater series. But when it comes to freshwater baits, nobody in the country does freshwater bass baits better than Strike King Lures. And again, I only do this a couple times a year, but when I reach into my bass bag that's full of Strike King Lures, whether it's the cutter worm or, you know, Rage Swimmer, I mean, it's unbelievable. We always have the right bait for whatever application it is. You know, whether you're fishing for speckled perch, you know, snook or big largemouth bass, Strike King is absolutely second to none. Okay. Big one. I feel like I know why you win so much. Because you don't stick nothing but pigs.
A decent one.
You don't stick nothing but pigs, Chief. Oh. Seriously, bro.
Another 4-pounder.
Seriously, bro. God.
Heavy rod, heavy line, big weight, big fish. Love it.
You're an animal, bro. Absolute animal. Yeah, you don't want to be behind you. Fishing behind you is not easy. I'm not good at this anyway, but fishing behind you is, although the good news is I have a great view.
Yeah.
I have a killer view of the game.
That's what it's all about, learning.
Beautiful fish. Beautiful fish. All right. Nice work, brother. Nice work. Let's catch another one. I love you. Whoosh. Swim away. Tough as nails. Nice job, Robbie
That's over
Crosnoe.
20.
Well done. You know, when you're coming into this, you know, from my world, you're thinking, you know, 30-pound test. You know, I mean, you're catching 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe a 10-pound bass. You're thinking, you know, 30-pound vicious braid. You know, that's plenty. And I should have just got a hold of Robbie ahead of time and loaded up the 50 or the 65 vicious braid, because that's what these guys fish with, in that heavy cover. And I still thought, you know, all along that I could pull it off, and you know, it cost me today. And you know, that's one of those fishing lessons that you can learn in any type of fishing that you do. You know, having the right tackle for that situation, or for any situation that you might run into in whatever type of fishing you're doing. You know, that's key to winning this battle. You know, the other thing is the time, the amount of time. You could see the amount of time and effort that Robbie has put into this flipping thing. He was so accurate. He had so much rhythm. The way he could feel that bite immediately and set the hook, you know, I mean, there's a difference between those of us who fish and those of us who fish professional bass tournaments like the Bass Pros. They're on another level, and Robbie showed me exactly why that is today. Absolutely incredible angle.